Everyone, okay, Instagram keeps booting me off, but we're going to try this live one more time. I am measuring this fabric with a Spectra 1 Pro. We are going to get the hue angles for this color in the fabric, and that's going to be a range. And we're going to take that range into the paint color DNA table where we can input that range, and the DNA table will give us a list of all of the colors that perfectly align with this color, with the jumping off point. This is one of those colors, actually, that I found in the first line, in the first live that I did. And I'm obsessed with this color. So we're going to talk more about that. Okay, so hey, Chris, we're going to try it again. So I want to talk, the first thing I wanted to go over again is curated color collections. So a lot of designers have their go-to colors. You know, it might be just, 12 or 15 or 20 colors, whatever. It's a curated list. And, I think that's a little bit short-sighted and maybe even a little bit ignorant, because there are 3,500 colors in the Benjamin Moore color collection alone. So, it's quite limiting if you're only working with 50 colors, because what are the odds that the perfect paint color to go with this greenish blue, bluish green in this fabric is in that curated collection? I mean, what are the odds that it is one of 50 colors or one of 100 colors? It's, statistically, you're screwed, really, if that's all you're working with. As a color professional, you need all of the options that are out there, all of them, because you don't know what you're going to encounter. And I measure color all the time. And I know for a fact that there's a very broad spectrum of colorways in materials. So a curated color collection does not serve you well. It doesn't serve anyone too well. So I made some notes trying to remember what I talked about the first 2 times I tried to do this. So I'm going to try to cover everything. So we've done a metamerism live before, and you guys had questions about metamerism. And metamerism is when 2 colors match under one light source, but they don't match under another light source. And really, we're not measuring for metamerism when we use that feature in this app that I'm going to show you. We're trying to detect it. And what it's about is detecting the relationship between 2 colors. We're looking for the answer, will these 2 colors, the relationship between these 2 colors hold up under different light sources? And the metamerism feature in this app will answer that question for us. It's not just about literally matching 2 colors. The way the app works is kind of like a virtual light box. Have you seen, Home Depot used to have a light box in their paint department, and you could put your color samples under in that little light box, and then it had a slider to move the lighting conditions so you could see how the color changed under different lighting conditions. So that's really what this app is doing for you. It's a virtual light box. Benjamin Moore has that feature now on their website where you can look, you're looking at it on your computer. So, it's not like Color No Life, but they're simulating for you what their colors look like under different lighting sources, really how their colors might change under different lighting sources, right? So it's on the app. So this is kind of like in the same vein as, what Benjamin Moore currently has on their website. And in order for the app that we're going to be using to work optimally is we need to make sure that we are consistent with the illuminant that we're using to measure both the jumping off point as well as the paint color to go with it. And that's not a problem, because the standard that I use in the paint color DNA table is D65. And within the app that we're using, you can control the settings and make sure that the illuminant that this is measuring with is also D65. So we're consistent across the board with the illuminant that we're using too. And the reason why this all works is because of consistency. I mean, the manufacturers of all the paint brands, they use D65 illuminant as their standard as well. The people who made this fabric, D65 is the standard for checking their color accuracy and quality control. Everyone across the board is using D65, right? So this is, it's a common standard The color system that we're talking about is not just a common color system. It is the only color system that everyone across the globe in all industries uses to make and manufacture color. And like I talked about earlier in the first round, the only people who don't know about this, who seem to be in the dark, no pun intended, about this color system and how we can manage and anticipate metameric issues are interior designers, architects, color consultants, people who work in paint stores, architectural coatings as a whole. You know, they're the only ones who don't know that this science and this technology exists. And it's really kind of unfortunate that they're not, leveraging it and optimizing it and using it to streamline their color design workflows so it's more effective, more accurate. I mean, you don't get more accurate than what I'm going to show you right now. It just doesn't. And, they're working too hard. If you don't understand color data values and how you can leverage them to streamline your color design workflow so you can handle more clients and essentially make more money, you don't know what you're missing and you're working too hard. So let's just jump right into it. And I'm going to use my Spectra 1 Pro. I want to place it, as you guys heard a million times, you want to place it firmly against what it is that you're measuring, because this is a little color lab here with a little, it has its own light source. So it's like a lab, a color lab in there. And when you put it on something, it blocks out all of the ambient light. So it doesn't matter where you are, what time of day, you can do it anywhere, any time of day. And it's only about capturing the energy from this color, and then the computer inside the device converts that information into color data values that we can actually use and that make sense to us. And those data values in this case are called LCH. H is hue angle, C is chroma, and L is lightness. We want to get the hue angle. We want the hue angle of this greenish color. So that's what I'm going to do. So I have my device ready to go. I'm going to turn it on, and I have to connect it because it disconnected from when I first had it all hooked up for the first live that we tried to do. And again, it says scan now, and you don't want to scan now because it's going to default to this color match feature. And we'll talk a little bit about the color match feature again. This is the only thing that's going to do is it's going to search the database, the apps database of paint colors, and find paint colors that match this. I don't necessarily want a match to this. I want a range of colors that go with it, because that's what designers do. We're looking for a more nuanced option as opposed to a matching color, right? And nuance is when you consider value and chroma at the same time, right? That's nuance. A color's value and chroma at the same time is nuance. The NCS color system does a really good job speaking to that. I'm not a big fan of the NCS color system because it's like RAL. Those are really just catalogs of color that people who manufacture things reference in order to choose colors. They choose colors from that. So it's really not a color order system that you can use and apply to a color design workflow. It's not very elastic or flexible. You can't measure a color and figure out where it fits into the NCS system, which is unlike the Munsell color system, which we use at the Land of Color and which you learn in Camp Chroma, or the C-Lab color space. You can measure a color, any color from anything, and get the notation and know where it is located in three-dimensional color space. You get its hue, family, its value, and its chroma. So this is three-dimensional color space, right? And the hues are on the outside. Value is from lightest to darkest. Chroma is from most saturated or most chromatic into the neutral value pole. So chroma is from vivid and strong to weak and neutral. So this is the three-dimensional color space. And color notations, hue, value, which is hue, let me just do this. Hue, value, and chroma, it's similar to the globe, right? Earth. So when you have a map, it shows you where you are on the map, but you need longitude and latitude to tell you exactly where you are on the planet. And color space works the same way. Like this is the color strategist color wheel. This is a map of all the hue families in color space. Two-dimensional view of three-dimensional color space. So this will tell you what hue family you're in based on its hue angle and hue degrees. But then if we want to know where we are within that hue family, we need the value and the chroma, right? Which is similar to longitude and latitude if you're thinking about a globe. So that's, you know, kind of a summary of color space and where we're working and what we're doing when we measure these colors. So, and that's why you don't want to use the color match feature. We're not looking for a match. We want a color that goes with it. Okay, so instead we want to choose the compare feature, and we want to do compare again. And so this is the window of power, as I like to call it. This is where all of the things happen that matter when you're trying to find the perfect paint color. And you want to check to make sure that you have your settings at D65 and 2 degree observer. With the Spectro 1 products from variable, and actually all the products from variable, you can control your illuminant and your observer. And you can't do that with Color Reader or NYX. And that's kind of the reason why I don't use those products and why I kind of have an issue with them. Data Color also has a product called Color Reader EZ. I think it's like $59. And I think the only thing that the Color Reader EZ will do is tell you what color matches this. It can't even give you the data values to go do what I'm about to show you how to do it. So you can get a list of all of the colors that are lighter and darker, more colorful and more neutral to go with this, not necessarily match it. This is the only process that exists that can do this, by the way. So I have my fabric, my device is ready to measure. I have it sitting flat on my desk, and I am going to see if I can just push the button on at the top of the device, and that works, right? You can just push this button. I don't have to necessarily tap this. Okay, and so the hue angle, so the app opens to LAB values. Those are very powerful those are very powerful too. But that's not what we're using. We're using LCH. And so the hue angle for the area that I measured was 144.44. That's easy to remember. I'm going to move it to another area, and I'm going to take another measurement. And when I do that, it will scan sample, right? So now I have two views of the same greenish color from this fabric. And I got 144.94 there too. I might do one more because I know there's a range in here, and that's the only reason why I'm doing it. So this is telling us that the hue angle for this fabric is really 145 degrees. And this one came in at 139.94. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. More perfect than when I did it on the first live. So this is even more perfect. So in color space, the range for the hue family of this greenish color is between 140 and 145. We'll call it 140 to 145. Okay, so what do I do with it then? Then we are going to go to the paint color DNA table. And again, I am mentioned in the earlier live, I don't normally do the DNA table on my iPad. I'm normally doing it on my PC and then telling you what I see, and I print stuff off, but we're going to try to do it on my iPad. Again, learned a few things the first time. So hopefully this time will be better. What do I want to talk about now? There is a shortcuts app if you have Apple products that you can use to create a shortcut to any URL. So that's what I did. I have a shortcut directly to the paint color DNA table. That's where this little icon came from. That's how I created it. And when I tap on it, it will take me directly to the paint color DNA table. And I'm already logged in, so the table just pops right up. This is the paint color DNA table. We scroll down and you can see all the paint colors. And if you tap on brand, you can see all the brands that I have in the DNA table. I'm going to go ahead and select Benjamin Moore. Oftentimes I use Benjamin Moore for no other reason than it's at the top of that list. So we're using Benjamin Moore. I'm going to open up the tutorial, and I also do this every single time. So I have a little video in here that walks through what hue, value, and chroma are.
Great thing about having
that you can watch. The problem with that is people think that when they click on the paint colors below, they are going to get this colorography diagram for each color. And that's not why I have that video. That's a good idea, and we might want to try to add that. But to get those colorographies, you have to go to the colorography lab at thelandofcolor.com. That's the only place those are. Okay, so the reason why I opened up the tutorial is you can come down here and get my favorite operation. We're going to copy and paste this. But if you want more information about how to maximize the filters in the table, that's all in the tutorial. I tell you everything, how to do it. Those are the operations. No math is involved. This is not about math. The math has already been done for you. This is about knowing what to do with the results and how to sort the results so you can find what you want. You have all kinds of control in here in the paint color DNA table. And this isn't about me. Right? This isn't about how many houses I've done or how long I've been doing this or how good I am with color. This isn't about me. This is about you. Camp Chroma and the Land of Color is about you. How can I teach you how to maximize the professional color tools that are available and extremely affordable so you can take control of color, be more confident with color, and be successful? That's what this is about. So I have the tutorials for you so you can get into, hit the ground running in the paint color DNA table. I have these little info bubbles for each attribute. If you want to learn more about each attribute, there's a tiny little micro tutorial about that. I am going to highlight my favorite operation in here. And I have to look at it dead on. Okay, and then I copied it, right? I'm just going to copy it. And then I'm going to scroll down to the hue angle right here in the filter. And then I'm going to paste in that operation. Sure I am. It doesn't want to let me do it. Oh, there it went. I think I have my finger on that button. And so I have the operation pasted into the filter, okay? And when we measured this fabric, we got a range between 140 and 145. I'm going to tweak that range a little bit just because I know where I want to be in color space. And that's the other thing about learning this system. It's like the more you use it, the more it becomes imprinted on your brain. And it becomes more of a reflex to think about color in terms of hue, value, and chroma. So I automatically know in my head what this range is in color space. It was between 140 and 146 in there. I want to scooch it over, and it's like right here at the end of the green yellow hue family. So I just want to scooch it over to like 142 to 148 because I want to be more towards green, the green hue family. And again, that's just my call because I know where I am in color space and I know what kind of colors I'm looking for. I want colors that lean more greenish for this fabric. Even though we were in the 140 range, just moving it by 2 degrees, it's going to shorten the list of results that I get. And again, that's just because I know how to do it and I've been doing it, and it becomes more of a reflex. And the more you do it, you'll be able to tweak the ranges that you search as well. So I need to change these zeros that I copied and pasted just from my favorite operation that I have for you in the tutorial, because that's how I designed it to work. You replace the zeros with the range that you want to search, and I want it to be 142 to 148. So I'm going to make those changes. And now this is what my filter looks like in the hue angle. I'm looking for colors between 142 and 148 degrees in color space, which is 142 to 148 degrees in color space, which is where the greenish color in this fabric lives, right? This is the map of hue families to tell me where in color space this kind of color lives exactly. So that's my first step, 142 to 148 degrees in terms of hue family. When I come down here to the search bar and I tell the table, and I tap on this, tell the table to go search, It gets gray for a minute, and now boom. All of these colors in the results, and there's 44 of them because I counted them earlier. The first time I did this, all of these colors, I can't get it to scroll backwards. All of these colors belong in the same hue family zone in color space as the color in this fabric. So technically all of these colors go with this cravat fabric, and I could choose from any of them. But I don't want these bold, vivid ones, right? Those aren't realistic wall colors. Just because they're in the same hue family, that doesn't mean that they are viable options as wall colors or cabinet colors or whatever. So what I'm going to do is put these in order by chromaticity. I want to see all the neutral colors first. And I want all of these bold, vivid colors at the bottom because I'm not even going to look at them. So instead of doing another search to narrow the search down even further, because you can do an operation for value in chroma too, I'm just going to go over here to the chroma column, and I'm going to make this bigger because there are little black arrows when you tap next to the title. And when you tap these arrows, it turns gray a little bit, but then it puts all of the colors in that list in order by chroma. So now all of the neutral colors are at the top. And the other thing I'm going to do is come down here at the bottom, and I'm going to expand my view from 20 colors to 50 colors. Because earlier when I did the video, we counted the colors, and I knew that there's only 44 colors that came up in the results. So now when we scroll through the list, right, it goes from most colorful, it goes from least colorful to most colorful at the bottom. This is the entire list. These are all of the colors from Benjamin Moore. All of the colors from Benjamin Moore. All out of all 3,500 colors. Only 44 colors belong to the same hue family region as this color in the fabric. Only 44 colors. Out of those 44 colors, only some of them are truly viable options for the built environment, right? They're starting to get way too colorful, way too chromatic. So it's even fewer colors than that. So when I go through this list, I am going to make my selections. And I know that I want Nelson Blue, Tranquility, Pearl, and this other color called Dakota Shadow. Those are the colors that I want. And you can, like, here's Nelson Blue, Tranquility, and Pearl. You can save the colors that you want, right? Like you can select the colors from the list, and there'll be a button that pops up, and you can't see it on mine because I'm the admin, and my admin menu covers up the Compare Now button, Compare Table button, and I can't get to it. And I tried to do it earlier, and it didn't work. So I'm going to try it one more time just because I'm stupid. I don't like to give up. I am like a pit bull. I tell you what, I get a hold of something, and yeah, I don't let go. And I think it might have worked. Let's go see. Oh my God, it worked. It did not the first time. So these are the colors that I clicked the little save button for. I didn't even click all the buttons I wanted to save because I didn't think I was going to be able to get to the button, the Compare Table button in my admin menu. But we have Nelson Blue, Tranquility, and Pearl. At least we have 3 of them. I had a total of 5. Nelson Blue, Pearl, Tranquility, and Dakota Shadow. Was it only 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess I only had 4. Is that possible? I don't even remember now because I'm getting so confused. And if I get kicked out again, I don't know what we're going to do. But this isn't recording, right? It only saves the recording if I get to the end and I stop it. If I get kicked out, it doesn't save the recording. So that's the problem. Hey, Dee. Hey, everyone. We're measuring this. We measured it. Now we have a list. We went to the color DNA table with the hue angles, put it in. Nelson Blue, Tranquility, Pearl, and Dakota Shadow are all colors that are from the exact same hue family region and color space because it has the same hue angle. It has the same DNA. So that's how we know that they go together for sure. Okay, so the next part of this, the next part of the conversation is metamerism. Change the light, you change the color. So how do you know that these colors are going to show up and look like they still go together even if the light changes? This is a big problem. How many times has that happened, right? You've chosen a color and you thought it was the right color. You get it under a different light source or the in situ light source in context, and they no longer look like they go together. That's metamerism. Color constancy is when one color changes in appearance from one wall to another. That's color constancy. That's one color. That is not metamerism. I've seen that on blogs before. People using the word metamerism to explain why one color changes in appearance from wall to wall. That's color constancy. And you actually have a color constancy function in your brain that accounts for that. And over time, you don't even notice that change. But that does freak a lot of people out when they first get their room painted because they feel like the painter used the wrong color on one wall or something, that it's not the right paint color, but that's color constancy or inconstancy. Depends on how you want to talk about it. But that's not metamerism. And we can use the app in the Spectro app that we just used to pull the hue angle to detect metamerism issues between the paint colors that we've selected. So it's game-changing enough that you do not have to physically try to go through a fan deck, that you don't have to go through the visual gymnastics, flipping through fan decks, trying to find the precise exact colors to go with this fabric. You can use the DNA table and the Spectro one, or even a Color Muse. You just have to use one of the devices that will give you the hue angle. They all do the same thing. Color Reader, NYX, a Color Muse, the Spectros, you just need to get the hue angle. Once you have the hue angle, make it a range, go in the DNA table like I just showed you, and get your list of colors that match this exactly. There is no way you could physically do this. There's no way that you could manually do what I just did in less than a minute. If you're, flipping through a curated collection of paint chips, that this color might not even be in there. And there is no way you could go through all 3,500 colors from Benjamin Moore and find this list of colors that precisely match this. You may never even find them. Another conversation about the curated colors. I love this fan deck. It's the Williamsburg collection from Sherwin-Williams, from Benjamin Moore. Go-to colors from designers. They may not even consider this collection of colors. They're stuck in the classic colors fan deck or the color preview fan deck, right? And that's if they've expanded to at least a fan deck from a curated collection, right? But there's no physical way you could go through all of the colors in Benjamin Moore and get these perfect colors like I just did. Definitely not in less than a minute, which is what it took me. And if I wasn't talking, it probably wouldn't have taken as long as it did. Second part of that is, what if Benjamin Moore didn't have any colors? Because there are gaps in collections. Some paint color collections are short in some particular hue family ranges. What if they didn't have a color that you liked at Benjamin Moore? No problem. On the DNA table, we can just expand this to include Sherwin-Williams. So when we do our search, we can do Benjamin Moore and then scroll down. Sherwin-Williams is all the way at the bottom, and do Sherwin-Williams too at the same time. And then the list of results that would have come up would have been all of the colors from both brands that work specifically, precisely with this fabric. Okay, so we have our colors. Now I'm going to, since I have the list, like I was able to create a list, take a screenshot of it, print it if you want. My next step is to go pull all of these chips because we are going to test it for metamerism. All of them. Which colors are going to have a problem? Can we detect if there's going to be an issue? If the colors are still if that relationship between these two colors is going to hold up under different light sources. We can predict that. So I'm going to go back to the Spectro app. I'm going to launch it. I got to connect my device again. Here's my device. It's ready to go. And I don't have to measure the fabric again if I don't want to, because the last measurements are still there at 144 degrees, and I'm not going to. in the sake of time, but I'm going to measure this color first. This is my favorite one out of the list. It's dark. This would be gorgeous on a kitchen island with like your bar stools in this fabric. I mean, yeah. But let's make sure that the relationship that I'm seeing under a D65 balanced light source, because that's what I have where I am, it's relatively balanced in my office. I know that. And also, according to the data values, which is also D65 balanced light source, and it looks fabulous, obviously, because it aligns in terms of hue family. What happens in different lighting conditions? We want to know if these colors are going to morph and change throughout the day in different lighting conditions as it changes all day, every day, season to season, year to year. Is it still going to be pretty? We can answer that question. I already have the data values on the first line for the fabric. Let's go get the data values for this first color, which is Dakota Shadow. And we got them in there. I need a drink on my Diet Coke because, you know, now I've been talking for 5 hours because I've tried to do this live 3 freaking times. Instagram hates me. Okay, and so this is the first window that we used. It's just comparing the two samples, and it tells you the difference, how different they are in terms of L, A, and B, lightness, yellowness, greenness, blueness, and redness. Lightness, redness, greenness, blueness, and yellowness. I said that wrong. So I'm going to flip. These are the spectral curves of both of the colors we just measured. We need the spectral curves to compare because that's how we detect metamerism. It's a spectrophotometer, so that's why it can do it. Colorimeters can't do this because they don't capture enough information, enough of the color's energy. So a color muse doesn't do this because a color muse is a colorimeter. Color reader, NYX, none of the other devices and apps do this. Only the Spectro app from Variable will do this. But that's just a spectral curve. I don't even talk about spectral curves in Camp Chroma because it's kind of like super sciencey stuff that you really don't need to know, but that's what it is because you have to flip by it to get to the metamerism thing. This is a C-Lab color plot. I've had trouble with this because I've told you guys the wrong things before because for whatever reason I have a scotoma about this, but I think I figured it out. I think what I'm telling you now is correct. This is our target color from the fabric. This is the paint color, Dakota Shadow, that we measured in the second scan. This is how they compare in terms of where they are in color space. And this is our target color on the lightness scale. Again, don't even go over this in Camp Chroma. I do teach you about the C-Lab color space, this is a C-Lab color plot, and I do have a worksheet for it so you understand it. But, you know, nothing too serious. So we get better news on this second scan. And it could be because of the area where I measured the fabric this second time around. And this is actually interesting information. So if you don't get the answer you want, hey, Natalie's Art Corner, nice to see you. We measured this fabric. We pulled the hue angle from this fabric, took it into the DNA table, searched for a range, and we have a list of paint colors that go with it. And now we're measuring the paint colors against the fabric and using the app and the Spectra 1 device and app to see if we are going to have an issue with them shifting unpleasantly and looking like they don't go together when the light changes. So that's what we're doing. The first time I did this is the metamerism alert window. This is where we're trying to get. The first time I did this, we had a lot of yellow triangles. And I was a little bit upset because I was hoping for better results with this color. So this is actually very interesting. You might want to do, you might want to do this a couple times to see if you really do have a problem. Because now this makes me happy. Because what this is telling me is the only iffy issue is under an incandescent light source, and it's going to look just slightly different than what it looks like in a balanced light source. So Dakota Shadow in this fabric should have no problems looking like they go together under any light source. And even though we have a yellow-green triangle here, I don't think that's a problem. And the rule of thumb is if you have a green triangle under at least 3 different illuminants, odds are this pairing is going to hold its relationship under any light source. Illuminant A is incandescent. D50 is called horizon light, and D65 is daylight around noontime, indirect, and it's considered the most balanced out of all of them, which is why we use it as a standard. So, moving on, go ahead and get a sample, because we know for a fact that it goes with this fabric, and it's going to shift and change along with the fabric, and it's not going to look like it doesn't match, like it's a mismatch if we have even LED lighting. And again, the first time I did that, I didn't get this good of results for this color, and I might do a second scan just to see if I can get the alerts to pop up again. You know, always do it 3 times. 3 times should be enough to get the average of what your results are going to be, to get you know, the most realistic view of what's going on that there is. And I'm getting the same results, so apparently there isn't a problem. And the first time I got the alerts, you know, some of these triangles popped up orange, telling me that there was an issue, and I didn't hate it. I would have liked to seen all of this the first time, but the fact that there was an issue under the particular light sources, I still thought it was worth getting a sample to see what happened. And you know, what I do know, when you do get an alert in this window and it tells you on a particular light source, hey, this relationship, how these colors relate, might not hold up under a different light source, at least it tells you to look for it, right? So now you're aware. And that's the other part of color data values. So yeah, it gives you very specific color answers in the framework, but it also tells you what not to do, or what to look for, or what could be wrong. For example, low chroma colors from the yellow red hue family often shift purplish, and that's just something we know. So if a color measures in this range in color space up in here, then we know to look for it to shift purplish. So that's the other advantage of using color data values. It helps you plan and predict and anticipate, not just the simple answers like this is the perfect paint color for this fabric. This is Nelson Blue. This is in the Williamsburg collection. So I am going to put my Spectro on Nelson Blue, and we're going to run that through the app to see if we have an issue with metamerism. And you see how it changed? Now they're all green. And that's telling me this relationship, how this color scheme looks, is going to be consistent under any light source. Odds are under any light source. The last one I'm going to do, well, maybe not the last one. The next one I'm going to do is in the same fan deck. It's this one. This is Pearl. So let's run this through. And I'll tap scan sample because my first line is the fabric. I don't have to measure the fabric every time. This one's a little out of skew under Illuminate A, which is incandescent lighting. And the delta E is greater at 2.34, and greater than the other delta E's. And the delta E is telling you the difference in color appearance, how these colors are going to appear compared to each other. And so what's the difference between these two colors under Illuminate A? The difference is a little greater between these two colors than the other illuminates. That's all that's telling you when the triangle gets a little bit bumped out like that. Look at the numbers and you'll see what that means. Again, green triangle, we don't have a problem here with this color either. Last one is Tranquility from Benjamin Moore. Put my scanner on there, scan sample, and see what we get. And the metamerism window changed again. The triangles are more in line, and not a problem. If you wanted to get super picky, with what just happened here with this information, out of the three colors, the last three colors I measured that weren't the dark ones, Pearl is the one with, the Pearl was the one that had a little bit of a bumpy triangle in it, but not anything to be concerned about. But if you're trying to decide between two colors that are very similar, and you can't decide which one, run it through the metamerism thing. And if one works out better than the other, then your decision's just been made for you. Okay, so I am done, and I'm going to get off of here before I get kicked out. I think I told you everything I wanted to tell you about metamerism and the paint color DNA table. And you can subscribe to the paint color DNA table for $10.97. It's available to everyone. It's not just my Camp Chroma students. It's a public resource. All you have to do is subscribe for 1 month or forever. You have total control of your account. If you're interested in learning more about this whole entire process, the 4 pillars of color is where you want to go. You can get through the course in a weekend. The videos are 20 minutes long. I have tons of visuals because I was a graphic designer for 13 years. So that's actually how I learned about color science, and I applied it every single day. And when I went to architectural coatings, I was shocked, absolutely shocked, that people were flipping through Fandex looking for paint colors, that people were eyeballing everything, and proud of it, proud of the fact that they had a trained eye and they had curated color collections. And I'm sitting here thinking, those things are not super cool things. That's nothing to brag about. You're working too hard, right? If you're doing that, you are working way too hard. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Do I have any questions coming up right now? Yes, I do. Does the Color Reader Pro? No, the Color Reader Pro does not do this either. The Color Reader Pro is still a colorimeter. The only app and only device that measures enough of the color's energy and will detect metamerism is the Variable Spectro 1 Pro devices and the Spectro app. And no, we are, and it's not measuring metamerism. We're not measuring for metamerism. We're trying to detect it, and it uses the data values. The app, the function of the app compares the data values that we capture from the colors that we measure, and it runs it through its little algorithm for metamerism. There's a metamerism index. I'm not sure if the app is employing that metamerism index to do what it does, but it could be. But that's how the metamerism app in the Spectro 1 device app works. It's comparing the data values for you under different light sources. It's like a virtual light box is what this is. And why it works. Consistency has a lot to do with how this works. If we weren't consistent with the illuminant, the D65 illuminant across all industries, if everyone wasn't using the same color system and the same standards, then apps like this would be less effective. Consistency is the key. Yeah, consistency is the key. What else do you guys have? I'm looking online because I can't see I can see on my desktop, I can scroll through your questions better. Yeah, it's simulating changes in light sources is what the light boxes are doing. And that's what Benjamin Moore is doing on its website too, right? With their little thing, it's simulating the changes in color appearance under different light sources. So we can't color by numbers alone, but it's a framework to do it. And it's a whole heck of a lot better than just trying to eyeball everything. It's a reasonably informative framework. Can't color by the numbers alone, but they're going to get you a lot farther, a lot faster than trying to do it manually, for sure. What else do you guys have? The color constancy thing, yeah, it's not metamerism. Wall to wall. That's just how colors change in appearance wall to wall, and that usually goes away. In the earlier lab, I used my favorite example of bananas. If you have bananas in a bowl on your kitchen countertop and it's super bright and illuminant in your kitchen, but your dining room is dim and you move the bananas, well, the color of the yellow banana shifts because the light changed. And you might notice it if you think about it, but otherwise the color constancy feature in your brain accounts for that change in lighting, and your brain's still seeing it as a yellow banana. And over time, that's what happens to the walls in the room too. And keep in mind that the walls reflect off of each other. So once you get the color installed on all of the walls, that makes a difference too. because they reflect off of each other. What else do you guys have? I think that's it. I think we got everything. So I'm going to go. Sign up for the DNA table. You get in there and play around. I have micro tutorials for you. Sign up for the 4 pillars of color, especially before the end of the year, because I'm updating it first quarter of 2024 and price is going to go up. Once you subscribe, once you get into Camp Chroma, you get all of the updates for the life of the course. So you can also write it off on your taxes, by the way. A lot of people can. You can write education off on your taxes. So get that in by the end of the year. Okay. Talk to you guys later. Bye.